Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take, cutting-edge research and ancient ideas and try to synthesize them into knowledge you can actually use, maybe even today.
That's right. And today, we're tackling a big one, I think. A really ingrained belief about productivity.
Yeah, this idea that just being awake longer means you get more done.
Exactly. We're flipping that. We're focusing instead on this very specific, really narrow window of time.
A time that, interestingly, cultures across millennia have viewed as, well, sacred.
It's a fascinating area. We're diving into Brahma Muhurta. It's often translated as the creator's hour.
The creator's hour. Okay.
And the key thing is, this isn't just some mystical concept. It seems to be a measurable, physiological, even energetic phenomenon.
Happening when exactly?
It occurs roughly 96 minutes before the sun actually rises, wherever you are locally.
96 minutes. Very specific.
It is. And our mission today, really, is to unpack this convergence. You've got this deep spiritual tradition meeting modern neurochemistry, chronobiology, and then critically give you the actual toolkit.
Yeah.
How do you harness this prime time for, peak performance, clarity, whatever your goal is?
I find that convergence just incredibly compelling because, let's be honest, for ages, if you suggested waking up at 4:30 a.m., people thought you were either a, productivity freak or maybe a yoga guru.
Right. Dismissed quite easily.
But what the sources we looked at show is something different. While the city's still asleep, your brain, your body, they're undergoing this really critical shift.
A shift that, if you leverage it correctly, could potentially alter your whole creative capacity.
And it's not just theory. We're seeing this pop up more and more. This early hour is kind of becoming this secret weapon for high-performance athletes, CEOs, artists.
It really is. And we found some powerful anecdotes that sort of ground this. One researcher we drew from shared a personal challenge.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
40 consecutive days, waking before dawn, dedicating that time only to focused intention, specific breath work, deep meditation.
40 days. That's commitment. And the results?
Pretty compelling, anecdotally at least. Projects that were just stuck, stagnant, suddenly got momentum. Unexpected career opportunities popped up, and even a stubborn long-term health issue finally began to resolve.
Wow. Okay, so we're definitely not just talking about, getting a head start on emails here.
Not at all. This sounds more like a profound window for real transformation.
So that's what we're exploring. We'll start with the science, the why. Why does this window even exist?
Right.
Then we'll get practical, move into the how-to, the actual manifestation toolkit that helps turn that potential energy into, well, real outcomes.
Sounds good. Let's start mapping out that sacred science.
Okay, part one, the sacred science of the pre-dawn window, the why. So we need to understand this foundational concept first. What exactly is this time Brahma Muhurta?
Okay, so the term itself comes from Sanskrit, Brahma.
Yeah.
Well, it's generally understood as the creative force, the energy behind generation, active creation in the universe.
The creator aspect.
Exactly. And a muhurta is a classical unit of time. It equals 48 minutes.
48 minutes, okay.
So Brahma Muhurta is simply the last two of those segments, 96 minutes total, right before the precise local sunrise.
Ah, so that's where the 96 minutes comes from.
That's it. And poetically, it's seen as this sliver of time when that universal creative force is, let's say, quietest, stillest, most accessible for us to tap into.
And the ancient sages, the Vedic texts, they weren't just guessing about this. They had ways to describe the state available then.
Oh, absolutely. They developed some really powerful metaphors. The one that probably resonates most with our modern understanding of consciousness is the lake metaphor.
The lake. Tell me about that.
They liken the human mind, our consciousness, to a huge lake. Now, throughout the day, what happens? The lake gets churned up.
Right. Stress, emails, noise.
Exactly. Winds of stress, digital overload, social stuff, even heavy meals. They stir everything up. Sediment rises, the surface gets muddy.
So if you look in, you don't see a clear reflection.
Precisely. The reflection of the self, your true, calm, whole nature, it looks distorted, fragmented, broken even.
Because the medium itself is chaotic.
That's the idea. But then, in the pre-dawn stillness, before the world really starts stirring, the lake becomes mirror calm. The sediments settle naturally. And suddenly, you get this perfect, clear, undistorted reflection.
That's a beautiful metaphor.
It is, but it's not just poetry. It actually parallels quite neatly the measurable shifts in brain activity we see when we move from deep sleep into that unique pre-dawn alertness.
Okay, so that transition, that leads us right into chronobiology, doesn't it? This inner clock we all have, this circadian rhythm.
Exactly. The master conductor of our biological orchestra.
So what's the clock doing at this specific time? What's the signal for this early wakefulness?
Well, the whole system is governed by a tiny structure in the hypothalamus. It's called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN, often called the brain's master clock.
SCN, got it.
And this SCN is incredibly sensitive to light, even faint light, like the very first hints of dawn, even through closed eyelids. It signals a cascade of changes.
What kind of changes?
It cues a gentle tapering off of melatonin, the sleep hormone.
Okay, less melatonin.
And, importantly, it initiates the healthy, natural rise of cortisol.
Ah, cortisol. We hear that word and instantly think stress hormone. But you're saying this pre-dawn surge is different.
It's fundamentally different, yes.
Yep.
Completely different from, say, the cortisol spike you get stuck in traffic at 2 p.m.
How so?
This natural cortisol awakening response, its job is to mobilize energy, sharpen focus. It's the body's natural ignition system for the day.
Okay.
If you align your waking time with this natural surge, you harness that clean, focused energy. But if you fight it,
Hitting snooze repeatedly.
right, or if you messed up the night before, stayed up late scrolling under bright blue light,
Yeah.
your body struggles to sync up.
And you end up feeling.
You end up with that awful fog. High cortisol, maybe still high melatonin. It's sluggish, reactive.
Yeah.
Your whole morning feels like you're fighting yourself.
So Brahma Muhurta is like this gentle invitation from your body,
Mm-hmm.
whereas that 7 a.m. alarm after a bad night is more like an aggressive command.
That's a great way to put it, yes.
Okay, this brings us to the brain itself. The brain's dawn symphony, as our notes call it. What's actually happening with brain waves if we sit in silence at this hour?
This is where the science really starts to validate the ancient practices. EEG studies electroencephalography. They show something interesting.
What's that?
Meditation practice during the specific pre-dawn window shows a measurably higher percentage of both alpha and early theta brainwaves.
Higher than meditation later in the day?
Yes, significantly higher compared to equivalent meditation sessions done, say, in the afternoon or evening.
Okay, alpha and theta waves. For listeners maybe not familiar, what do those signify? What state of consciousness are we talking about?
Good question. Alpha waves, they're typically around 8 to 12 cycles per second. They correlate with relaxed alertness.
Relaxed alertness, like daydreaming.
Sort of. Like when you're calmly reading or just about to drift off to sleep. It's often seen as the bridge between your conscious thinking mind and the subconscious.
Okay. And theta.
Theta is slower, 4 to 7 cycles per second. It's much rarer in waking adults, usually associated with the REM dream state, deep memory access, and crucially for our topic, heightened neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity, the
Yeah.
brain's ability to change, to rewire itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if your brain is naturally in a state of higher neuroplasticity during this window,
It means it's optimally ready to learn new things, to install new habits, new intentions.
that's the potential, yes. It's primed for new programming.
But what stops the old programming, the bad habits, the negative self-talk, from just interfering like it usually does?
Ah, that's the critical mechanism. And it involves a really important neurotransmitter called GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid.
GABA, I've heard of that. It's inhibitory, right?
Exactly. Think of GABA as the brain's mute button or maybe a calm down signal. It works to dampen down neural excitability. Basically, it reduces the background noise in your brain.
Okay.
And during this alpha-theta state, particularly in the quiet pre-dawn, GABA activity seems to be relatively high.
Wait, so if GABA is high,
Mm-hmm.
that means all that mental chatter, the usual worries, the self-doubt, the inner critic, it's quieter.
Precisely. You're temporarily reducing the influence, the volume of those deeply ingrained competing neural circuits.
So trying to set a new intention, say, I am confident.
If you try that at 3 p.m. during a crazy workday, that intention has to fight uphill against decades of established pathways linked to stress, maybe past failures, self-doubt,
It's got a lot of
a
competition.
ton. But in the pre-dawn quiet, that GABA-rich state, the field is clearer, the background noise is turned down.
So the new intention has a better chance.
A much better chance. It's like what neuroscientist Andrew Huberman often says, neurons that fire together wire together.
Right.
This quiet hour allows those new neural ensembles, the ones associated with your positive intentions like confidence or healing, to fire more cleanly, more in isolation. They can start wiring together with much less interference from the old stuff.
That reframes it significantly. It's less about mystical energy, maybe, and more about leveraging the brain's natural periods of low internal interference.
That's certainly a key part of the scientific understanding, yes.
But what about people who genuinely feel like night owls? They say, my genetics just aren't wired for early mornings. Can they still tap into this?
That's a really important question. And yes, true prototypes do exist. Some people are naturally inclined later.
Let's
However,
whisper.
a lot of modern night owls might actually be, well, self-manufactured through habits, especially poor light hygiene.
Like too much blue light late at night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Consistently suppressing your natural melatonin release until way too late. But even for genuine night owls, the environmental shifts, the changes in light, the quiet still happen pre-dawn.
So there's still a window biologically.
There's still a biological signal. The key for them is really starting the night before. We'll get into this more in the toolkit section, but establishing a disciplined wind down and lights out time is crucial.
To allow enough deep sleep before that Brahma Muhurta window arrives.
Precisely. Consistency over time can actually start to shift the body's set point, even for relative night owls. It takes effort, though.
Okay. Beyond brainwaves, let's talk hormonal alchemy. We mentioned cortisol's good side. What does channeling that natural pre-dawn peak actually feel like?
Right, if you channel it properly into calm, positive practice like meditation, gentle breathing, maybe some light movement.
Not into checking stressful emails immediately.
Definitely not. Then that cortisol provides focused, stable energy. It's not that frantic, jittery anxiety you get from an adrenaline rush.
Okay.
It's literally revving the engine of your metabolism and mind in a balanced way. Mobilizing fuel, sharpening your perception. It's like peak readiness, but without the stress baggage.
And this positive hormonal state doesn't just vanish after the practice, there's a carryover effect.
Absolutely. There's a perfect neurotransmitter cocktail, you could say, that carries you into the day.
What's in the cocktail?
As your practice finishes and your body fully shifts into day mode, that melatonin decline is met by a noticeable increase in both serotonin and dopamine.
Serotonin for mood, dopamine for motivation.
Broadly, yes.
Yeah.
Serotonin is key for that feeling of well-being, stability, happiness. Dopamine. It's often misunderstood as just pleasure, but it's really about anticipation, motivation, the drive towards reward. Studies suggest that this kind of intentional morning sequence can generate a sustained dopamine uplift. This helps maintain focus and optimism for several hours, acting like a natural buffer against those mid-afternoon energy slumps.
Okay, fascinating. Now let's bridge into maybe the more speculative but intriguing part, the quantum digression. Why do some practitioners call this time a cosmic Wi-Fi hotspot for manifestation? That sounds out there.
It does sound out there, but there's a thread of thinking, even touching physics, that explores this. The core idea, which science is, let's say, cautiously beginning to investigate, is that consciousness might not just be something the brain produces. It might be a fundamental influence on the very field from which matter arises.
Okay, that's a big concept.
It is. Theories like orchestrated objective reduction, proposed quantum processes, are actually intrinsic to consciousness itself. Ancient traditions call this underlying subtle energy prana. Physicists might talk about the zero-point energy field.
Prana, zero-point energy. And the pre-dawn window is the best time to connect with this. Why?
The thinking goes, it's about noise reduction, environmental noise.
What kind of noise? Not just traffic.
No, electromagnetic interference. Think about the massive noise floor created by all our technology, global grids, satellites, Wi-Fi, phones, everything, plus natural solar interference.
Right, it's constant.
During Brahma Muhurta, that external electromagnetic noise is naturally at its daily minimum, globally.
Ah, like trying to tune an old radio.
Exactly. If everyone nearby has their blenders, microwaves, power tools running, you can't hear the faint, distant station. The signal gets lost in the static.
So when the static is lowest,
your own signal, your coherent intention, becomes clearer, stronger, relatively speaking.
Interesting. Is there anything else about the environment at that time?
Well, there's the Schumann resonance. It's often called the Earth's heartbeat, a very low-frequency vibration of the planet's electromagnetic field.
Oh, okay.
When the external technological noise is minimal, it's theorized that our nervous systems might be more sensitive, more receptive to this natural planetary resonance.
And how does intention fit in?
Coherent intention, a clear thought infused with strong, focused emotion, is seen as a kind of broadcast, a signal you're sending out. So the theory suggests when the world is electromagnetically quietest, that coherent broadcast from your consciousness is significantly louder and more discernible in Let's call it the quantum field, or the field of possibility.
It's the optimal time to send a clear signal, less corrupted by all the collective mental and technological chatter.
That's the essence of the cosmic Wi-Fi idea. Minimum interference, maximum signal clarity.
Okay, we've really laid out the science, the energetics, the why this window seems so potent. But, theory's one thing. Putting it into practice is another.
Absolutely. And that's often where people stumble. They get the why, but the how feels overwhelming.
Right. So let's dive into part 2, the manifestation toolkit. This is the practical guide, the implementation steps for actually accessing this window consistently and effectively.
And the first crucial point is, success at 4 a.m. actually starts the night before. Maybe even 12 hours before.
Okay, so step 1 is rewiring the mind for early rising. It's not just about forcing yourself awake.
Force rarely works long-term. You need to ease into it. We call it building the takeoff ramp.
The takeoff ramp, I like that. What does that involve? What are the must-dos in, say, the 90 minutes before you want to be asleep?
Number 1, non-negotiable. Light discipline. You absolutely have to limit blue light exposure after, say, 9 p.m.
Because blue light tricks the brain.
Yes. From phones, tablets, bright LED lights. It tells your SCN, that master clock, hey, it's still daytime. And that delays melatonin release, making it hard to fall asleep and harder to wake up refreshed.
So switch to dim amber lights, blue blocking glasses.
Exactly. Those are key. Second non-negotiable, a wind-down ritual. This isn't optional fluff.
Why is it so critical?
You need to consciously signal your nervous system to shift from go, go, go sympathetic mode into rest and digest parasympathetic dominance.
How do you do that?
It could be gentle stretching, maybe writing down 3 things you're grateful for, simple things. Critically, silencing all digital notifications, no pings, no buzzes.
You're basically building sleep pressure, getting your body ready.
Precisely. So you wake up feeling rested, not like you've been dragged out of a ditch.
Okay, that's the night before. What about the moment you wake up? How do you lock in the commitment then?
As soon as you wake, you reverse the light discipline. Seek out bright, full-spectrum light immediately.
Open the curtains. Go outside if possible.
Yes. If you're in a dark room, maybe invest in one of those smart bulbs that mimics dawn. You want that sharp blue-white light hitting your eyes.
To tell the SEN.
Day has begun. Shut down the melatonin production. Let's go. This trains your circadian rhythm over time to expect that early wake-up.
Okay, that makes sense, physiologically. But what about the mental battle, the I'm just not a morning person story we tell ourselves? How do you shift that core identity?
The identity shift. This is probably the hardest part, but maybe the most crucial. Saying an affirmation at 4:30 might feel fake if you've believed you're a night owl for 20 years.
Right. So how does it actually change?
It's about replacing the old narrative through consistent action and what psychologists call self-referential processing. You're not just forcing an action, you're actively building evidence for a new identity.
How does that work?
That old night owl identity is a deeply worn neural pathway. You have to consciously choose and reinforce a new one. Maybe something like, I am a creator who thrives in the early morning quiet. And every single time you successfully get up, even if you feel groggy, even if it's tough, you are providing proof to your brain that the new identity is true.
So the action reinforces the belief.
Exactly. There's a part of the brain, the medial prefrontal cortex, that really pays attention to statements about who you are. By showing up, you validate the new identity, and the old one literally starts to weaken from lack of use.
Yeah.
It loses its power.
Okay, identity shift through action. Makes sense. So we're up. Mind is hopefully quieter thanks to GABA. Now we move to breathwork as the command interface. Brahma.
Right.
Why is this specific hour so good for breathing practices?
It's a confluence of factors, really. Physical, environmental, energetic. The air itself is often literally cleaner, cooler, denser pre-dawn.
Okay.
Atmospheric pressure might be slightly lower, making it physically easier for the lungs to expand fully. And crucially, the concentration of negative ions in the atmosphere.
Negative ions, what do they do?
They're molecules that have gained an electron. They're associated with waterfalls, forests, and they tend to promote feelings of well-being, reduce stress. Their levels are often naturally higher in the early morning air.
So cleaner air, maybe easier breathing, more feel-good ions.
And your own internal environment is primed. Your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight system, is typically still dormant. You're leveraging pristine air quality in a naturally calmer physiological state.
All right, let's get specific. Which breathing techniques are most effective here for energy and clarity? You mentioned Nachusutana first.
Right, Nachutana or alternate nostril breathing. You gently close one nostril, breathe in through the other, switch, breathe out, breathe in, switch, like that.
And the benefit?
The deep, slow, rhythmic breathing is thought to cleanse the nachas, the subtle energy channels in yogic anatomy. Scientifically, it's been shown to help balance the left and right hemispheres of the brain.
Hemispheric synchronization.
Yes, and it balances the autonomic nervous system, nudging you towards that calm parasympathetic state. It stabilizes your heart rate variability, HRV, which is a great way to set a baseline of calm for the rest of your practice.
Okay, that sounds like a good starting point. Then you mentioned something more intense. Kapalabhati. Skull-shining breath.
Ah, yes. If Nashutana is a gentle cleanse, Kapalabhati is more like a power wash for the mind.
Power wash. How does it work?
It involves forceful, rapid, active exhalations driven by sharp contractions of the lower abdomen, almost like little pumps. The inhalation is passive. It just happens naturally afterward.
Okay, sounds energetic.
It really is.
Yeah.
The rapid pumping action generates internal heat called Agni, or digestive fire in Ayurveda. It's fantastic for cutting through mental fog, that feeling of stagnation.
And physically?
It triggers a significant flush of fresh, oxygenated blood to the brain. People often report feeling energized, maybe even slightly lightheaded at first, and experiencing profound mental clarity immediately after.
So you start slow with this one.
Definitely. Maybe just 30 sharp exhales, then pause and notice the effects. It's often used metaphorically to burn away limiting beliefs held in the nervous system.
Wow, okay. And then for calming things down, embedding the intention.
That's where Ujjayi breath comes in, often called the oceanic breath.
Why oceanic?
Because you create a sound. You gently constrict the back of your throat, the glottis, just slightly. This creates a soft, continuous rushing sound as you breathe both in and out, like distant ocean waves.
And that sound is important.
Very important.
Yeah.
That gentle vibration and sound are thought to directly stimulate and soothe the vagus nerve, which is a major component of the parasympathetic nervous system. It's like a calming lullaby for your nervous system.
So Ujjayi becomes the soundtrack.
Exactly. It's ideal to maintain this soft Ujjayi rhythm throughout your intention setting and visualization practice. It helps keep you anchored in that receptive alpha-theta state.
Got it. So breath has charged the body, mind is quiet, brain is receptive. Now, the precision work. Intention setting. The seed sentence ritual. You emphasize crafting an intention like an arrow, not a scattergun.
Yes, precision is key here. An effective intention isn't just a vague wish. It's like a three-stranded cord. Clear thought, high-frequency emotion, and the feeling of embodied action.
Okay, break that down. How do you craft the seed sentence?
Rule 1. Must be in the present tense, as if it's already happening. I am, not I will be or I want.
Present tense, got it.
Rule 2. Must be positively framed. Focus on what you do want, not what you want to avoid. So instead of I don't want to be in debt, maybe I am experiencing abundant financial flow.
Positive frame, okay.
Rule 3. Infuse it with sensory detail. Make it specific and tangible. Vague intentions get vague results.
Can you give an example? Let's refine a common goal like I want to be wealthy. How does that become a potent seed sentence?
Okay, I want to be wealthy is way too vague. A powerful seed sentence might be something like, I am calmly reviewing my bank statement online every Tuesday morning, smiling as I easily see a growing six-figure balance, and I feel this deep, serene wave of financial security washing through my chest.
Wow, that's specific. You've got the action reviewing, the time, Tuesday morning, the visual growing balance, the emotion, calm, smiling, serene security.
Exactly. You're scripting the desired reality now and attaching a specific high-frequency feeling state to it. Notice it's serene security, not frantic excitement, which can actually be counterproductive sometimes.
Okay, and the ritual part. Why handwrite the sentence 3 times? Why not just think it or type it?
Good question. Handwriting engages different parts of the brain. It involves kinesthetic learning, motor memory. It's a physical act.
How does that help embed it?
Neuroscientists talk about processes like adaptive myelination. Myelin is the fatty sheath around nerve fibers that speeds up signals. The conscious, repeated physical act of writing your intention seemed to reinforce the neural circuits associated with that intention more deeply than just thinking it.
It leaves a stronger trace, a neurological echo.
That's a good way to put it, yes. A muscular and neurological echo.
Now, you also mentioned the paradox of release. Be super specific in the vision, but relax about the how. Why is obsessing over how it will happen actually detrimental?
Because the moment you start obsessing over the how should I apply for this job, should I call this person, how will the money come, you instantly shift your brain state.
Out of that calm alpha theta.
Right back into analytical, often anxious, high-frequency beta mode. Beta brainwaves are great for problem-solving and logistics, but they're generally terrible for the receptive state needed for manifestation.
So obsessing closes the door.
It can, yes. The creative field, the universe, whatever you want to call it, seems to respond most powerfully to the clear vision and the feeling, the emotional coherence, not the detailed instruction manual. Releasing the how signals trust and allows possibilities you haven't even conceived of to emerge. It keeps you in that open, receptive state.
Trust and surrender. Okay, so intention is set, written down. Now, the final piece, visualization. The holographic studio. You said with the brain in this state, visualization is hyperpotent. The key is sensory saturation.
Absolutely critical. You're essentially trying to engineer a neurochemical preview of the future reality. Don't just see the scene like you're watching a movie.
What should you do instead?
Step into it. Embody it completely. If your goal is a new client contract, feel the weight and texture of the paper in your hands. If it's travel, smell the specific coffee brewing in that Parisian cafe. If it's public speaking success, hear the specific sound of the applause. Feel the warmth of the stage lights.
Make it multisensory.
The more senses you engage, the richer and more real the neural signature you create in your brain. Studies on athletes show this vividly. Imagining the sounds and feelings of a perfect performance fires their motor cortex more strongly and leads to actual improvement.
And perspective matters too. First person versus third person?
Yes, they seem to serve slightly different functions. First-person perspective, seeing through your own eyes, is generally best for embodying new habits or mastering physical skills. You feel yourself running the marathon, crossing the finish line, the feeling in your legs. It fires mirror neurons related to doing the action.
Okay. And third person, watching yourself.
Third person, seeing yourself as if on a screen or from across the room, can be more effective for reinforcing a new identity. Seeing yourself delivering that keynote speech confidently reinforces the identity of I am a powerful speaker. It helps solidify the self-concept.
Makes sense. But you stress none of this works without the emotional carrier wave.
Emotion is the engine. Without it, visualization is just mental picture making. It's like a dead battery.
So how do you charge it?
You have to infuse the visualization with the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And not just any feeling. High-frequency emotions work best. Deep gratitude, authentic joy, serene confidence, expansive love.
Really feel it in your body.
Yes, you need to generate that emotional charge so intensely, even if just for 30 seconds, that maybe you get goosebumps or a warmth spreads through your chest. That powerful feeling sends a coherent signal, both neurally and, proponents would say, energetically into the field that bypasses your rational doubts.
The emotion is the magnet that pulls the reality towards you.
That's the core idea. It's the magnetic charge. That's what gives the visualization its true power.
All right, we've gone deep into the mechanics, the why, and the how. Now let's shift to part 3, application and evidence. We need to see how this plays out in the real world. Does it actually work? Let's start with that entrepreneur case study, Daniel.
Right, Daniel. He's a classic case. A startup founder, brilliant but constantly swamped by anxiety, just perpetually firefighting.
Stuck in that beta brainwave state we talked about?
Exactly. Permanent beta, running on stress. He was nearing a crucial Series B funding round, but was terrified his own burnout and stalling momentum would tank the deal.
So what did he do? Did he adopt the Brahma Muhurta practice?
He did. He committed to just 20 minutes each morning, waking at 4:40 a.m. crucially, before checking his phone or email.
Smart move.
Yeah.
What was his practice focused on?
Breath-based meditation, specifically focused on cultivating a feeling of calm, authority, stable leadership.
And what happened? Were the shifts noticeable quickly?
Remarkably quickly, according to his report. By day 4, he said that constant low-level hum of operational panic just subsided.
Wow. Day 4.
He also mentioned achieving inbox zero for the first time in months. But interestingly, he said it wasn't because he suddenly worked faster.
Then why?
He described it as gaining a cognitive edge, decisions that had seemed overwhelmingly complex before. Should we pivot the product? Do we let go of this difficult but high-performing salesperson? They just crystallized, became almost obvious choices.
So he wasn't necessarily solving problems faster, he was just seeing the solutions more clearly.
That's how he put it. Less wrestling, more clarity.
And did this internal shift translate externally? Especially with the funding.
That's the key validation, yes. He reported that his newfound calm demeanor was explicitly noted by the venture capitalists during the pitch meetings.
They noticed he wasn't frantic.
Right. He projected stable confidence, strategic foresight instead of that manic, desperate energy you sometimes see. And the investors apparently read his calm as competence. It directly contributed, he felt, to securing that successful funding round.
That's powerful. His competitors may be waking up later, hitting the email immediately. They didn't have that quiet edge.
He certainly believed it gave him a significant strategic advantage that morning.
Okay, let's look at healing and vitality. This area often has more direct scientific links. You mentioned Jacob with ulcerative colitis. That's a serious gut-mind connection case.
It really is.
Yeah.
Ulcerative colitis is an inflammatory bowel disease, and it's well known to be aggravated by chronic stress, by nervous system dysregulation.
So what was Jacob's approach?
He committed fully. He used a practice called the inner helix meditation, which involved focused visualization of healing light moving through his digestive system. And he coupled that with what he called dawn wave flow, very slow, mindful, deliberate sun salutations at sunrise.
And his goal wasn't just managing symptoms.
No, his stated intention was fundamental healing, not just coping.
That takes courage. What were the results? Did the medical data back it up?
That's what makes his story compelling. His symptoms did reduce dramatically over time. But the critical point is that he eventually achieved documented mucosal healing.
Meaning the lining of his colon actually healed.
Yes. Verifiable healing, confirmed by a follow-up colonoscopy about 6 months into his consistent practice.
That is profound. It's tangible proof of the nervous system's role in physical repair.
It strongly suggests that intentionally shifting the nervous system from sympathetic stress mode to parasympathetic rest and repair mode, especially during that quiet window, can allow the body's own innate healing mechanisms to function much more powerfully. The gut-brain axis is incredibly responsive.
And there are other biochemical markers too. We have specific data points.
We do. There was research looking at people doing intentional practices early in the morning, specifically subjects who practiced diaphragmatic breathing, deep belly breathing between 4:30 a.m. and 5:15 a.m.
Yes.
They showed an average increase in their endogenous glutathione levels of 23% after just 4 weeks.
Glutathione, that's the body's master antioxidant, right?
It is. Crucial for detoxification, immune function, fighting cellular damage from oxidative stress. A 23% increase from a simple breathing practice is massive. That's a significant physiological boost.
So the pre-dawn hour seems to support the body's natural cleaning and repair cycles on a cellular level too.
The evidence certainly points that way. It seems more effective than trying to force relaxation later in a stressed-out day.
Okay, let's turn to the emotional sphere. Love and relationships. Manifestation here often seems less about attracting something new and more about clearing internal blocks, like Maya's story.
Exactly. Maya was carrying a lot of emotional residue, psychological weight, from a really painful broken engagement years earlier.
And that residue was acting like a barrier.
Unconsciously, yes. It was like she was broadcasting emotional unavailability, even though consciously she really wanted a healthy partnership. It created an energetic barricade, preventing connection.
So what was her Brahma Muhurta process?
Hers centered on clearing. She deliberately used the deep pre-dawn silence to just allow those old painful feelings, those echoes of betrayal or sadness, to surface without judgment.
And then, did she fight them?
No, she simply acknowledged them and used a mantra-like phrase. I release you, I keep the wisdom. Repeating that with intention.
I release you, I keep the wisdom. Powerful. And the outcome?
As she consistently did this clearing work, she reported feeling lighter, more open. And relatively soon after feeling that internal shift solidify, she met a new partner who was, notably, very emotionally available and stable.
So the idea is, by clearing the internal static, her true signal of readiness could finally get through.
That's the interpretation. We often unconsciously manifest the very barriers we're holding on to internally. Cleaning out that emotional debris, especially in the most neutral, quiet hour, allowed her authentic energy to radiate.
We also heard about Aaron, the engineer, skeptical about affirmations, needed data for self-love.
Yes, Aaron is a great example for the analytically minded. He thought affirmations were fluffy nonsense. But he was preparing for marriage and felt some underlying inadequacy.
So he decided to test it objectively.
He did. He decided to track his own self-love metric, as he called it. He got a biofeedback device that measured his heart rate variability, HRV.
HRV, that variation between heartbeats. It's a good marker of emotional balance and nervous system state, right?
A very strong marker, yes. Higher variability generally means better resilience, more parasympathetic tone.
So what did he do with the HRV monitor?
During his quiet morning time, he would repeat the affirmation, I am worthy, really trying to feel it, while watching his live HRV data. He wasn't just reciting words. He was looking for a measurable physiological effect from the emotional input.
And did he find one? Did the data convince the engineer?
It did. He saw a consistent, measurable improvement in his HRV scores during and after the affirmation practice compared to his baseline.
Wow.
It demonstrated to him in his own language of data that the practice was tangibly improving his emotional regulation, reducing internal stress. It proved for him that focusing on self-worth wasn't narcissism. It was building the physiological equilibrium needed to be a stable, secure partner.
That's fantastic. Data-driven self-compassion.
You could call it that, yes.
Okay, finally, crucial topic. Overcoming the inevitable obstacles. Because life happens. Consistency is key, but perfection is impossible.
Absolutely. And the first obstacle is often internal, the plateau. Progress isn't linear.
What should people do when they feel stuck, like they've been doing it for weeks and nothing's happening anymore?
Recognize that stagnation is often not failure. Sometimes it's fermentation.
Fermentation, like brewing.
Exactly. It can be a necessary period of quiet assimilation. Your brain, your nervous system, might be integrating the profound changes you've already initiated. The circuitry is rewiring behind the scenes.
So don't quit right before the breakthrough.
Precisely. Often, if you just gently persist through that feeling of flatness, the next level of insight or manifestation is right around the corner.
Okay. What about external obstacles? The environmental saboteur, noisy roommates, early traffic, maybe a partner who isn't supportive. Raj's story was about this.
Yes, Raj had a classic disruptive environment. Roommates gaming late, making noise early. It felt impossible.
So what did he do? Move out?
He realized he couldn't control their chaos, but he could control his immediate sanctuary. He took a small, neglected balcony and transformed it into his dedicated micro-shrine. He got good noise-isolating headphones, put down a special rug, even added a small basil plant that he tended as part of the ritual.
So he carved out a sacred space, even a tiny one.
Exactly. It defined the space, insulated him psychologically and physically. The point is, you can often make small environmental tweaks that dismantle what feel like monolithic obstacles. Make the practice non-negotiable by making the space dedicated and respected, even if it's just a corner of a room.
Smart. And perhaps the most important lesson for long-term success, the power of forgiveness.
Crucial.
Yeah.
Because you will miss days. You'll oversleep, you'll get sick, you'll travel, and the routine will break.
And the danger is?
The danger is declaring the whole practice broken the first time you slip up. That invites the inner critic, the self-sabotage, the old limiting narrative rushes back in. See? I knew I couldn't do it.
So what's the antidote?
Radical self-compassion. If you miss a day or even a week, just come back the very next day. No judgment, no guilt. Simply return.
Like the practice itself gains a new rhythm.
Exactly. It gains a new movement. Maybe an adagio of rest, as the notes said. It reinforces a deeper identity. Not, I am someone who never fails, but I am someone who always returns to the commitment that's much more resilient.
Okay, let's try and synthesize all of this. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. What's the core takeaway for you, the listener?
I think the main point is that Brahma Muhurta isn't just a nice idea. It seems to be a repeatable, predictable phenomenon. It's a convergence point.
A convergence of what, specifically?
Of your own internal physiological reality. You've got the optimal GABA levels, the dominance of alpha and theta brain waves, that healthy cortisol peak starting.
Right. The body and brain are primed.
Exactly. And this state potentially gives you more direct conscious command over your inner reality, your thoughts, feelings, and intentions than perhaps any other time of day.
It's the window where the signal-to-noise ratio is most favorable, both internally and maybe even externally.
That seems to be the case. The time when the creative force, or Brahma, is most accessible, least obscured by the usual chaos.
But, as we kept emphasizing, the truly transformative element, it isn't just setting your alarm clock, is it?
No, not by itself. The magic ingredient, the differentiator, seemed to be the consistency of the conscious, focused effort you apply during that window.
It's about showing up, patiently, in the dark, day after day, even when it's hard.
That commitment seems to be what compounds the benefits over time.
So this leads us naturally to our final challenge, our invitation to you.
Become your own N-of-1 experiment. Be the subject and the scientist.
Test it. Seriously, try dedicating, say, 40 days. Commit to rising before dawn.
Choose one clear, specific seed sentence intention, whether it's for clarity or healing or a professional goal or relationship harmony. Pick one focus.
And then?
And then rigorously, honestly document what happens. Keep a simple journal. Note the shifts, the synchronicities, the changes in your mood, energy, focus. Track the specific outcomes related to your intention.
Because ultimately, your own personal data, your direct experience of transformation, that's going to be far more persuasive than anything we can say here.
Absolutely. That's the most convincing proof point there is. See what the universe, or perhaps just your own optimized biology and psychology, brings to your doorstep when you consistently honor that creator's hour.
Any final thought to leave people with?
Just this. Remember, the universe, or maybe just your own subconscious potential, seems to be waiting, listening for your first conscious, coherent thought of the day. Make it intentional.
Then consistency.
Consistency isn't really about achieving a perfect, unbroken streak. It's less about never missing a beat, and much more about always coming back to the music.
Subscribe us to get more content like this.